This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Tuesday, the 12th day of March in the year 2024. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. The president of the Guyana Teachers Union, Mark Light, has announced that the union will be heading back to the High Court in wake of a breakdown of talks with the Education Ministry, following the court-appointed mediation process that ended the strike action by teachers. The GTU is accusing the Ministry of Education of reneging on an earlier agreement that the two sides would discuss salary increases for teachers for the period 2019 to 2023 as part of a multi-year agreement. Backed by executives of his union, Light made the announcement today during an emergency press conference at the GTU headquarters, shortly after talks between the two sides collapsed.
We are going to take this matter back to the court for the court to adjudicate on the matter. We are at present in consultation with our lawyers, and we believe that reneging on the first position taken and the legitimacy of the signed agreement coming out of the first meeting is placing this administration as one that we should not trust.
Based on the minutes of the meeting held last Thursday, which was signed by both the president of the Teachers Union and the Chief Education Officer, Saddam Hussein, today's meeting should have focused on salary matters included in the multi-year proposal 2019 to 2023, among other critical issues. Light told reporters today that though the Chief Education Officer during the first meeting identified himself as the Chief Negotiator for the Education Ministry, the Education Ministry's Permanent Secretary, Shanil Hussein Ottar, showed up at today's meeting to introduce herself as the Chief Negotiator for the government, and making it clear that the government has no intention to discuss a wage package for the period 2019 to 2023.
We were not even settled when the Permanent Secretary indicated that the government will not negotiate as agreed on in the last minute from 2019-2023. And at that time, we made it very clear the unethical and the misinformation that emanated on Thursday evening in the form of the memo, when it was agreed that the multi-year proposal will be discussed in its fullest and any other matter outside of the proposal. The CEO apologized for his misunderstanding. He apologized for his misunderstanding and also stated that he was not aware that he was the chief. He was not the chief negotiator. Hence, he conceded that the PS should be part of the discussion. At that time, the union resolutely put forward its position to say, we are not interested in discussing any multi-year proposal 2024 and beyond because we have not submitted such.
While making it clear that the union will not be bullied by the government, the GTU president said it was disrespectful for the permanent secretary to suggest that a union should return to its members to discuss a new proposal that spans the year 2024 moving forward. He said it will appear that the government itself is divided on the issue, and the indication by the Ministry of Education that there is no fiscal space to accommodate the proposed increases for 2019 to 2023 is absolute rubbish.
The Chief Education Officer, at that time the Chief Negotiator, went to his principals 2 hours and 5 minutes to consult and came back with a position as documented in this minute that they are prepared to have talks 2019-2023 proposal. So absolutely there is some level of division, and maybe a great level of division in the administration as to how this matter should be treated.
The GTU president said even as a union consults with its attorneys on the legal actions to be taken, it will consider other actions, including the possible resumption of the strike action.
For obvious reasons, all the options are before us, strike being the one that we would have called off, and strike being a possible action that will resume. In fact, the calling off of the strike was temporary to have these discussions take place. So this nation can be plunged again in a nationwide strike action because the thousands of teachers across this country are sorely disappointed in the action of this administration. and they will be held accountable for this.
Describing the nation's teachers as strong and resilient, Light urged teachers to remain resolute, optimistic, and positive, adding that the fight is not over. And the General Secretary of the GTU, Coretta MacDonald, said the union will press ahead with its representation of its members.
In closing, I want to say to our teachers, thank you for being this resilient, and that we will continue to have this fight because we are on the struggle, we are in a struggle for survival. And I just want to quote from Maya Angelou, who said, "You will face many defeats in life, but never allow yourselves to be defeated." And so as a teaching fraternity, that's what we will go forward with.
In a statement today, the Ministry of Education said the 2024 national budget does not have the fiscal space to accommodate retroactive payment of salaries for the teachers during the period 2019 to 2024. And as such, the union was advised to resubmit a proposal that starts from 2024. More on that story on the other side of the break. Meanwhile, last week, the two sides agreed that a 4-week strike action by the teachers would be called off with immediate effect to allow discussions to resume on salary increases and other matters. The agreement was the result of a mediation process ordered by High Court Judge Sandal Kisun, who had expressed serious concern for the nation's children, who found themselves at home as teachers stayed away from the classroom as part of their industrial action. More news coming up in just a moment.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Holiday spending put a dent in your cash. Top up your pockets in the Cash Splash promotion. Win over $5 million, including over $1 million in our weekly draws. Just purchase any Buster, Turbo, Fruita, Cool Kids or Viva. Look for the 8-digit code starting with 786. Then visit Facebook or IG at Buster Guyana or Turbo_Caribbean for more details.
In our search for sophistication and grace, the Super Stylistics team invites you to be part of something extraordinary. Mothers and daughters who possess aura and presence that transcend through time. Step forward and become part of the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024. Join our legacy as we redefine elegance for generations to come. The search for the epitome of timeless love begins now. Call 226-2825 or 626-0460 to secure your spot in the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024.
Welcome back. Well, hours after talks between the Ministry of Education and the Guyana Teachers Union broke down today after the two sides could not agree on the period of salary increases to be examined, the Education Ministry is sticking to its position that the negotiations and salary matters would have to be from this year and onwards. The GTU continues to press for salary increases for the period 2019 to 2023 to be discussed, in keeping with its multi-year proposal, which was submitted back in 2020. The Education Ministry's Permanent Secretary, Shanil Hussein Uttar, in defending the government's position, explained that increases for the prior years would have financial implications. According to a statement from the Ministry of Education, the national budget for 2024 does not have the fiscal space to accommodate the retroactive payment of salaries for teachers during the period 2019 to 2023. This year's national budget is more than $1.1 trillion. The statement by the Education Ministry said the permanent secretary has requested that the union's representatives submit to the ministry a proposal which would capture their request for a multi-year agreement commencing from this year. With the GTU and the government both holding firm to their respective positions, the talks broke down. The government is now claiming that the union has abandoned the process, as it maintains that the 2019 to 2023 period must be examined first. The Education Ministry said it should be noted that during the prior years, teachers have benefited from salary increases and salary adjustments that reflect teachers' qualifications. Those were done without negotiations with the union. The ministry has also stated that various initiatives were introduced to the benefit of teachers across the country, and that added to the disposable income of the teachers as well as their welfare. The Ministry of Education said it remains committed to continuing dialogue with the Guyana Teachers Union. Let's tell you now that a special meeting of CARICOM and its international partners, along with Haitian stakeholders on the situation in Haiti, ended early this morning in Jamaica, with the resignation of the Haitian Prime Minister, Dr. Ariel Henry. Henry's resignation paves the way for the setting up of a transitional presidential council that will oversee the affairs of the French-speaking Caribbean nation until fresh elections take place. After a full day of meetings and compromises, CARICOM Chairman President Irfan Ali communicated the outcome just after midnight.
We are pleased to announce the commitment to a transitional governance arrangement, which paves the way for a peaceful transition of power, continuity of governance, an action plan for near-term security, and the road to free and fair elections. It further seeks to assure that Haiti will be governed by the rule of law. This commitment reflects hard compromises among a diverse coalition of actors who have put their country above all differences.
Chaos and terror have reigned across several parts of Haiti over the past month as gangs took control of majority of the country, demanding the resignation of the Prime Minister. The CARICOM special meeting was called as the situation worsened over the past week.
To that end, we acknowledge the resignation of Prime Minister Ariel Henry upon the establishment of a transitional presidential council and the naming of an interim Prime Minister.
Among the agreements reached was that a presidential council comprising of 7 voting members and 2 voting observers will be established. The voting members will be drawn from 7 groups in Haiti and will exercise special presidential authorities during the transition, operating by majority vote. The council will meet and select an interim prime minister and will also establish a transitional cabinet until an elected government is established. The CARICOM chairman made it clear that persons facing criminal charges and persons who are indicted or convicted of a criminal offense are excluded from being part of the council. Persons who have hopes of running for political office in Haiti will also not be able to form part of the council. Meanwhile, the outgoing Haitian Prime Minister has confirmed his resignation on the social media site X, formerly known as Twitter. He said his government will resign immediately after the installation of the Transitional Council, and he's asking all Haitians to remain calm and do everything that they can for peace and stability to return to the country. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was in Jamaica yesterday and also met with the CARICOM leaders. He has pledged the U.S. government's continued support for the stability of Haiti. There continues to be an influx of migrants from Venezuela into Guyana, and the government is now examining additional ways to accommodate them and to address the growing number of the migrants here. Yesterday, Minister of Foreign Affairs Hugh Todd convened the first meeting for this year of the Multi-Agency Coordinating Committee to address the influx of migrants from Venezuela into Guyana. During the meeting, Mr. Todd reiterated the government's support for Venezuelan migrants who are fleeing hardships in their country. In his opening remarks, he reminded the committee that the policy of the government remains intact as it relates to support for the migrants from Venezuela. He noted that a long-term objective is to integrate them into the Guyanese society, but in the meantime, their respective agencies are tasked with combining resources to provide services in key areas for them, such as healthcare, education, labor, sanitation, shelter, food, and clothing for the most vulnerable. Mr. Todd also stated that the government's policy on offering support for the migrants fleeing a worsening economic crisis in Venezuela remains intact. He said important and basic services will be provided for them. With a high concentration of Venezuelan migrants in Region 1, the committee has been tasked to organize an outreach in that region to provide services to the migrants based there. Guyana has found itself establishing settlements in the border communities to assist the Venezuelan migrants. It is estimated that more than 30,000 Venezuelan migrants have made their way to Guyana in the last few years. While the government has welcomed the migrants, the opposition continues to raise the potential security and instability risk while acknowledging that migrants are covered under several international laws and conventions.
At the most critical life-changing moments, the National Insurance Scheme is here to ensure that your needs are covered. Access reimbursement for medical expenses for various aspects of your medical care. We know that eye care is of utmost importance. Receive assistance with our Spectacle Care voucher. Visiting the dentist? Dental care is also covered under our sickness benefit services. Offset the funeral expenses of a loved one with costs covered by our funeral benefits. National Insurance Scheme. We're there every step of the way.
Look at the breathtaking beauty of the Essequibo. From its pristine rivers to its abundant resources, it's a treasure that belongs to Guyana, and we ask Venezuela to respect the rule of international law.
Our commitment to this land is not just about ownership. It's about preserving its beauty and resources for our people and future generations.
The controversy between Guyana and Venezuela was settled internationally as full, perfect, and final in 1899. Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
The second annual Women in Law Enforcement Summit got underway at the Police Officers Mess on Monday under the theme Inspiring Inclusion, Advancing Women in Law Enforcement. The forum is examining the role that women play as leaders to maintain safe communities while shining a spotlight on the challenges faced by women in law enforcement. Acting Deputy Police Commissioner Calvin Brutus, in his address to the opening of the summit, stated that women in law enforcement continue to make strides while showing strength and resilience in what they do. He said women remain at the forefront in ensuring the safety of communities and citizens.
We stand here today recognizing with immense pride and incredible strides women have made in law enforcement. From the pioneering detectives who shattered glass ceilings with their relentless pursuit of justice to the patrol officers who bravely serve on the front lines. Your dedication and courage are an inspiration. You are the embodiment of strength, resilience, and unwavering commitment to the safety of our citizens.
Challenges that female law enforcement officers encounter in the conduct of their duties will be addressed, Mr. Brutus said.
Over the next few days, we will delve into critical topics that hold the key to unlocking the full potential of women in law enforcement. Breaking down the barriers to advancement, we will explore concrete strategies to dismantle unconscious bias in promotion processes. This includes implementing fair and transparent evaluation procedures, utilizing blind selection panels, and creating opportunities for targeted training programs focused on leadership development for women.
The event is a collaboration between the Guyana Police Force, the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce, and the Women's Chamber of Commerce. It is examining a number of issues related to women and their work in law enforcement, including human resources management, behavioral and communication skills, team building, decision making, gender differences, emotional intelligence, and entrepreneurship. On the police blotter tonight, the police are on high alert in a number of Region 7 communities where they suspect prison escapee and double murder suspect Akeem Wong may be hiding out. Wong was last spotted in the Saxacali area, where he attacked and murdered a 75-year-old woman and her 49-year-old son. The double murder took place last Friday. Since then, police ranks have been stepping up their monitoring of a number of communities close to Saxacali. Wong escaped from the Mazarini jail in mid-February. Since his escape from prison was announced, the police and the prison authorities have offered little information on the efforts to locate him. Last Friday, he reportedly made his way to Saxacali, where he pretended to be a minor, but later attacked the elderly woman Elizabeth Gomes and her son David Gomes, chopping them to death, after suspecting that someone in the village might have called them about his true identity. It was the murdered man's 6-year-old son who alerted family members and friends to the double murder by using his father's phone to send out voice notes after the suspect escaped from the area. The suspect was serving a 15-year jail sentence for rape. He managed to escape from the high-security Mazarini jail in February, and searches for him have been ongoing since then. There are reports that a senior officer at the Mazarini jail has since been placed under close arrest, as the probe into the man's escape continues. However, the officer was only placed under close arrest after the report surfaced of the escapee's link to the double murder at Saxacali. Tonight, investigations are continuing by the police into the shooting death of a security guard at a Chinese supermarket in Friedenhoop yesterday by 3 armed bandits during a robbery. The security guard's name has been given as Paul Waterman. He was attached to the sheriff's security company. According to a statement from the police, the armed security guard was on duty at the People's Supermarket at around 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, when 3 men entered the business place and held him and the owners of the supermarket at gunpoint. During the hold, the security guard got into a scuffle with one of the bandits and was shot by another. When the guard fell to the ground, he was relieved of his weapon and his cell phone, as the robbers forced the business owners to hand over an undisclosed sum of money and other valuable items. The robbers hurried away from the scene as the guard was rushed to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Police investigators said 1.32 spent shell was recovered from the scene. The investigators are going through surveillance video recordings in their efforts to identify the 3 suspects. The probe is ongoing tonight.
In our search for sophistication and grace, the Super Stylistics team invites you to be part of something extraordinary. Mothers and daughters who possess aura and presence that transcend through time. Step forward and become part of the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024. Join our legacy as we redefine elegance for generations to come. The search for the epitome of timeless love begins now. Call 226-2825 or 626-0460 to secure your spot in the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyoil is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyoil's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyoil has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
holiday spending put a dent in your cash? Top up your pockets in the Cash Splash promotion. Win over $5 million, including over $1 million in our weekly draws. Just purchase any Buster, Turbo, Fruita, Cool Kids or Viva. Look for the 8-digit code starting with 786. Then visit Facebook or IG at Buster Guyana or Turbo_Caribbean for more details.
With your regional and international news tonight, I'm Svetlana Marshall. In the region, uncertainty hung over Haiti's political future on Tuesday after its prime minister said he would step down, a move welcomed by some Haitians frustrated by months of gang violence, but made without a clear path to stability yet in place. According to Reuters, Prime Minister Ariel Henry released a recorded video late on Monday night, pledging to resign as soon as a transition council and temporary leader could be chosen. But it was not clear when this might happen. Security conditions in capital Port-au-Prince remain dire, with armed men controlling the airport and key infrastructure, while doubts still linger over the timing of plans to deploy an international mission to boost outgun local police and restore order. The 74-year-old Henry, who was appointed as prime minister by Moise before his death but was himself unelected, had repeatedly postponed elections, arguing that security should first be restored. An American tourist died on a cruise ship that was en route to the Bahamas. The Royal Bahamas Police Force said it received reports that the woman, a 27-year-old Florida resident, was found unresponsive in her cabin around 5:30 p.m. on Monday. According to the police, a team of medical personnel from the ship assisted and performed CPR, but no vital signs of life were detected, and she was declared deceased. During their initial investigation, officers confiscated a quantity of suspected cocaine from the cabin and arrested a 32-year-old American male from Florida. An autopsy will be conducted to determine the exact cause of death. Investigations into the matter are ongoing. And finally tonight, international news. Ukraine pounded targets in Russia on Tuesday with dozens of drones and rockets in an attack that inflicted serious damage on a major oil refinery and sought to pierce the land borders of the world's biggest nuclear power with armed proxies, according to Reuters. Russia and Ukraine have both used drones to strike critical infrastructure, military installations, and troop concentrations in their more than 2-year war, with Kiev hitting Russian refineries and energy facilities in recent months. Russia said Ukrainian proxies had sought to cross the Russian border in at least 7 attacks that Russian forces had to repel. The Russian-speaking Ukrainian proxies said that they had breached the border, a claim denied by Russia. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.